Is there an idea of like setting intentions for a practice? Like, would an intention that you set on one day be different, like on a different day because of how you feel, or like how can you go about creating an intention, or is that, or do you just like dive into the practice?
Um, in the very beginning level, I just tell the students, okay, visualize this, focus this is light, this is mantra. Um, but as they progress deeper, we start feeding them a deeper visualization of transcending the mind, meditating on the thoughtless states, and then tremendous amount of wisdom visualization comes about. And what that does, repeatedly the Shiva Sankalpa, meaning only the auspicious thoughts are to be brought. I repeatedly keep reminding to students, don't sit in meditation dogmatically. Watch your mental state. If you are very agitated, if you are angry, don't meditate at that time. Many people use meditation, let me rest a little bit, I'm so annoyed or angry, I need to calm down, let me meditate. You can just take a deep breath, drink water, but don't use meditation to alter your agitated state of the mind, but bring your mind to the calm, loving state, and then you start these repetitions of thoughts. Because what happens, Noah, is these meditative practices make you closer to your heart, and that help you magnify whatever you are doing. If you are sad, it will help you see your sadness much closer, like a zoom in, meaning you will feel even more sad. If you are angry, then when you see your mind how mad you are, then it will make you feel like even more angry. So therefore you want to have a proper pure cultivation of thought before you start all these repetitions. The repetitions freeze your mental state more or less in the same for as long as the mantras are running. And because you are only thinking about mantras, you are not thinking about the emotions, so they are like frozen in the background. But they are not gone, they are there. And so it is very important to cultivate positive thought. Um, but first, like as soon as students come, I do not instruct them have a positive, because it's kind of cliche. Everybody knows that you go to yoga, you are supposed to go with positive intention. And so, but when we are about to generate higher order consciousness, then we start stressing students just to focus on the formlessness, to the ideas of infinity, to the ideas of like the sky like consciousness, which is meaning having no limitations by name, by form. So namelessness, to transcend the names, transcend the forms. And those states are easier for students to cultivate when they have first mastered on names and forms. The nameless and the formless is not our problem. Our problem with the world is the one with the name and the form. So because that is what ties us in concept. Our concepts are limited. Our concepts have names. Like a book, that is a concept. A book is a name for this thing. And so it has a form, it has a name, it has a form, and that ties our mind into particular location. So first I channel, I give you thoughts to counter thought. Some of the thoughts I channel to you are bizarre, like 18 arms, who is like with 18 arms? 10 heads, who is with 10 heads? Like Ganesha, for example, with the elephant head riding a mouse. For heavens, how can an elephant ride a mouse? So these are not rational processes. It's just puzzling your mind into some kind of uncommon, strange phenomenon. And your mind is stuck there because everyday thing, common thing, comes and goes. You don't pay attention. Think you drove from PA, you drove for 4 hours, 5 hours, and I ask you, like, can you tell me the cars you drove past by, or they were driving alongside of you, and like I don't remember any. Like, okay, so you drove all the way from Pennsylvania, and there were no cars. No, there like the traffic was packed, but. And then you say, oh, I remember the truck that cut me through, and the guy was a jerk. He is the one who cut through and he started honking. Right? And then if that happens, you don't forget, right? Our mind is like when things go in a routine way, things are happening, you don't remember. One odd thing happens, you remember. We are already aware of how mind acts. Therefore, we are already programming something odd, something strange. Your mind is caught into that. That's strange. And that mind is puzzled. So, that puzzled state of mind we use to cultivate a focus, attention. And then it's a state of wonder. What is this? Surprise, you know? And then there's just one of the many techniques we use. We don't use, like as I said earlier, we don't use only one method for our cultivation of the mind. Every step of the way, there are completely new series of techniques taught to the students, and supposedly they master. They say, I've done it for a whole year, like these are the things I did, or these many counts I did, and then I assume that they are now well versed into this, and then I train them into new forms. And most of them, like around the end, you have complex forms, but at the same time you are versatile in the formless. You just dissolve your mind into the nameless. You are able to sit in this empty void but total presence. It's not nothing, it's a total presence for as long as you like. So these are the states that are possible, and eventually mind is a paradoxical phenomenon. You have the limited objects and you want to go out of it, you are out of it and you seek for those limited objects. So mind knows all the tricks that you can play to control it. You have to deploy all those possible tricks to train your mind. And when you try to seize your mind, mind escapes. Because you are the one trying to seize the mind. Mind already knows you are trying to seize it. The minute you think of controlling the mind, it is the mind that is saying, control it. Who wants to be controlled? Mind escapes. If you are the fish wanting to catch the fish is never going to be caught. So, so the mind has to be willing to be caught. The mind needs to be tamed, and the mind needs to feel confident, not betrayed, because you can't trick your mind, because the one who is trying to trick the mind is yourself, your own mind. So you need to know at the bottom of your heart is it is good for the mind, and then the mind knows that it is good for itself. It wants to go there. So even though you are controlling, but your mind knows that this control is good for itself. Like when the teachers control like this much homework and that, or parents, and the kids revolt. Mind, that is mind. revolting nature, you know. But so it needs to understand that how it is going to evolve into the higher being. So mind doesn't want to dissolve, like little kids with hyper with sugar, and they don't want to go to sleep. The mind has to be willing to go to rest. The mind has to know it's not the end of the day. There will be a new coming of the new day. Because going in samadhi, going in absorption, there is no mind. Mind is as if erased, and mind doesn't want that. Who wants to be erased? And that is why we train the mind first to catch very sharp phenomena. And therefore, rather than telling be formless, be nameless, because that doesn't make your mind sharp, that dulls your mind. We give them the forms, we give them complex forms, so they are attentive into, like we give them phonemes and the colors, and then like these descriptions, the background layering we call, like this is the background in which the image is, and in which there is the geometric design, and in which there are these phonemes. What? And then my students complain, your meditation is so tough, I cannot have more than 2 layers. And then I every time I try to focus, one layer stays and the other is vanished. I can't focus on all 6. And I'm like, oh yeah, the job is done. Because if I tell them just to focus on one thing, they will not even focus on that, they will go something else. The mind is not going to stick there. But then I give them 4 different things to program, and then they think they have to program all the 4 things. And they're trying to stick to it, and then the mind escapes from one thing to the next, and mind forgets 2 of the 4, and then they are complaining, I forgot 2 of the 4. And I'm like, good, because if I had not programmed you to think of these 4, you would be thinking of your own 4, something completely random. So why do you need a teacher? It's basically for that reason, that it's a dynamics of the mind, and sometimes you are not able to tame your mind on your own. And yes, you need to have a question, but also sometimes you have to be willing to allow the system to work through you. It's like medicine, you don't want to go blindly and buy some snake oil, that is where our reasoning and doubt comes. But then when you get the medicine, and how do you know it is going to cure you? Then that is, even then, some type of belief, is working. So that's the mind, We have to know the limits of faith, and we have to know the limits of reasoning. We have to have reasoning. We have to doubt. We have to analyze. And then if we keep only doubting for all our life, we can make progress in life. In any area, you want to be, you want to invest in this side, you want to invest that, you want to, what if I lose money, do this way. There are 2 types of people, one who do not think, who do not doubt, they just throw their money in whichever way. 90% of them are not going to succeed. You have to think. You can't just be whimsical and, emotional about investment. But then there are others. Am I going to invest there? Am I going to invest there? Am I going to? And then what if I lose it? But there is no business where there is no risk. Everything you do in life has risk. So you have to analyze all the factors and make your move. And what if you lose? That's what life is. You still risk losing everything. Not blindly. So that's what I would apply also in yoga practices, meditations, these tantras, these things. I would not ever tell anybody, just follow this text, follow that teacher, follow that. You have to really scrutinize these things, where these are coming from. Also, what is the self-interest, what is the ego level, and those are necessary steps before learning anything. But then again, We can make a business of doubting every day, because then living becomes very difficult. Think of the partner, if you have a girlfriend, or think of any relations. If you just doubt on the partner every single minute or every single day, you can't live a life. It becomes so much of a burden to live a day-to-day life. Then you have to rely. What if you you get cheated? What if you get hurt? That's life. That's what we do. We take our chances. We make a living. We live the best we can. The sadhana is also the part that you scrutinize, you analyze how much of freedom you have in terms of thinking, in terms of evolving in practices. But then again, at the end, you are the person to walk the walk. A teacher doesn't walk with you or for you. Teacher might show you the path. You are the one making the journey. Thank you, Noah.